তিনি থাকেন প্রবাসে, তবে তাকে এই শহরের মেয়ে হিসেবেই মানে এবং চেনে শহরবাসী। তিনি আর কেউ নন, অনুষ্কা শাঙ্কার। এবার তিনি কলকাতায়। এবার ওয়েলকাম টু ইটিভি নিউজ বাংলা অ্যান্ড কলকাতা।
Thank you so much.
Well, as you were touring with SHIRAZ and Romance of India, first I want to know, it must have been a proud and moment for you to be associated with this type of project, and also the first time you were composing for a film.
I was very proud to be asked to score a film, especially in the context of it being such a special piece of our heritage, this film, SHIRAZ, from 1928. And it was the annual restoration of the British Film Institute this year. It had a massive gala premiere in London. So it was all a very, very big, very kind of special scenario. And of course, now that we get to bring it to India as well, that feels very, very special to me. So I'm thrilled to be here.
Composing for film, how the approach has been changed? Your approach must have changed. So how was the approach towards a film, composing a film?
Well, I've never done anything like it before, but at the same time I have composed on several albums, so they're like stepping stones towards this in some way. The big challenge of this film is that it's a silent film. So unlike any other normal film today, where maybe half or less than half of the film would be music, the entire film is music. So the sheer volume of music required is massive. You know, the film is an hour 47 minutes. You need an hour 47 minutes of music. So absolutely. I mean, it is kind of the tool that's helping people understand what's happening in the film, because there's no dialogue.
If I ask you about India and what your romance about India and romancing India or UK also.
Well, that's a difficult question. But I mean, I'm back in India after nearly 1 year right now, so it does feel really like I'm in love with pieces of it again. There's little moments here and there where I feel like I'm, you know, my heart feels really fulfilled to be back, and especially here, I'm happy to be back in Kolkata.
The memory you brought back with as any Kolkata, which is most cherishable till now.
Well, I have so many memories here, because from when I was a child I would come and stay here with my father. Sometimes we would come and stay for a period of time. Sometimes we would just come and do performances. But along the way, of course, there are family members here. We've had experiences. I've played here so many times with my father. I've played alone a couple of times. So there are so many memories here. And, you know, I do cherish each of them.
And whom do you miss most, Pandit Ravi Shankar ji or Bapi Ravi Shankar?
I mean, naturally Bapi, because in some ways, like even with the part of him that was my guru, in a weird way, it's like I still get to interact with that part of him when I play music. You know, that's a relationship that's still ongoing when I play music. It sort of comes alive again. Whereas, of course, you know, the elements of like a father-daughter like that I miss. It's not there. You know.
As you were touring with children and all that, you used to come with Pandit ji and all that. You were traveling with your children, and you used to also travel with Ravi Shankar ji.
It does. I mean, I get flashes now and then. Like even last week when we had the premiere at the Barbican of this film, it's the same dressing room that I remember being, you know, running around as a little kid, and then I saw my kids running around, and it does feel quite amazing to kind of see the parallels, you know, and see time flow, and, you know, see my own kids. It is amazing.
Motherhood has influenced your music a lot.
It has, and sometimes it's hard to explain how, because obviously motherhood has changed me as a person. So then naturally the music I make is changed. But I think one of the main thing, well, maybe two of the main things I see is that, like, obviously I have more experiences in my life now. Like, there are different types of love, there are different types of fears, all of these things as a parent, that then those emotions are more rich in the music I make. So I feel like in a lot of ways the music I make is more emotive in the last few years. At least that's what I feel. And then the other thing is that parenting is so much more important than music making, that before having kids, like, music would feel like this really big stressful thing, and now it's like not that stressful, and so it makes me feel a lot freer in my music.
You want to them becoming a musician or anything they want to?
The kids, I would like them to be whatever they want to be. Yeah.
Do you think nowadays for classical musicians it's more difficult to survive in India rather than globally? Do you think that? Because so many other there are scope are so less, but so many music is coming out in Bollywood and all other types of music. But in West there are so many other platforms.
You're exactly right. I think there are a lot more platforms for various forms of music. So there's a kind of slightly better infrastructure set up in the West to support different types of music. And in India, I think people struggle to survive as a purely classical musician alone, aside from a very few people who are lucky enough to be able to make a career with that. So it is very difficult. I see people struggling, and I personally, obviously, I make all kinds of music. I support making all kinds of music, but I think it's a shame if artists have to make mainstream music in order to survive. It's like, I wish we had enough support for all the forms of music.
When your father collaborated with world musicians and all that, there were purists to say, this is not right. So do you think you have also doing with the progressive world music and the traditional classical music blending with so much ease, and so do you think the approach has been changed, or it's the same about the purists used to say these things, that things?
I mean, to be frank, I think my father probably had a harder time with the purists than anyone in subsequent generations, because he was the first. So if you are the first to do something, it does seem the most shocking, the most strange to people. So he got a lot of criticism for the kind of things that are perfectly acceptable and normal now for classical musicians to do. I don't think any of us get criticism for experimenting in our music outside of classical music today, because that's been completely normalized thanks to people like my father. So he kind of really had to go through it, and I do think it's different now.
Whenever you have coming up with the album, be it a Traveler or Home or anything, a song like Inside Me, there are the experiences. You actually express your experiences through music. Also, even in about Mumbai terror attack or Delhi incident, and that always it has been expressed through your music. So, what intrigues you about all these things, and so to do music? And do you think it's necessary to express your emotion through music, like musicians or anybody, celebrity?
That's a great question. It's not conscious for me to write music in response to events necessarily, but it's simply the way I am. Like, I have experiences, they make me feel deeply, and then a part of my way of processing things is to play those feelings in my music. So I find that very healing, and I think when we make music from places of pain or from experiences like that, then that can also be healing for other people. So I think art can really do something very beautiful that way. So when you take the pain and you turn something painful into something beautiful, that can really be very powerful.
Right, that's why you also in Twitter, and also you have expressed your voice with the Me Too campaign.
Yes, I mean, as you know, I've spoken about that years before as well. So, you know, whether it's a Me Too campaign or whether it's any other place I can, I think it's important to shine a light on a lot of dark things that we necessarily didn't speak about, because it's only through speaking about it and looking at it that you can start to see how you can change things. And fundamentally, that's what matters to me, is creating change. It's not just talking about things, but it's about creating change and healing.
So, do you see the change in coming in India, and also about the independent woman instrumentalist? We don't see so much.
Very different things to answer about. Which one do you want? Which question shall I answer? I do see change happening, and it makes me hopeful. I don't see enough change happening, but I think if, you know, I'm hopeful. I have to remain hopeful.
Any album in the offing?
At the moment, I'm very much. I was very deeply involved in SHIRAZ and also touring Land of Gold, which is my last album. So I'm not going to start making a new album until sometime next year. So we have to see after that.
Any association with Sister Nourajan's coming in, because
Musically, not since Traces of You, when we did a few songs together then. We haven't done anything since then. So obviously we've been meeting a lot of sisters, but we haven't made music together. So.
But we hope you will score music for film, as Ravi Shankar ji has done so many things, and it was so popular, not only in Bengal, in also.
Well, now that I've had one experience and I enjoyed it very much, I would love to do more. So let's see.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Camera Shudhi Buchader Shangadev Dotto Mujumdar, ETV News Bangla, Kolkata.